Welcome again to the Purposes of God. This is video number 27 in our special 29-part series. Again, I'm your host, Doug Krieger of the Tribulation Network. Again, this is video number 27. We are going to be discussing, this is part 1, further reflections on the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, if we opened up the Great Pyramid and we look at the moon, the earth, and the sacred cubit, there's an incredible interrelationship. So we take off the top and we fold back the sides of the Great Pyramid. And what we're going to get and what we're going to see is the following. We're going to see 4 90-degree angles, okay, right angles. Times 4 equals 360 degrees. We're also going to see 4 equilateral, or at least 4 triangles, which will equal 180 degrees. Times 4 equals 720 degrees. Together, 360 degrees plus 720 degrees will give us 1080 degrees. The 1080 degrees of the Great Pyramid, 4 triangles, as we said, at 180 degrees each, equals 720 degrees, plus 4 times 90-degree right angles will equal 360 degrees for a total of 1080 degrees, is the radius of the moon in miles, and the radius of the Earth at 3,960 miles will equal 5,040 divided by 2 is equal to 2520, or its fractal, the sacred cubit of 2520. Now we have a most interesting set of configurations here with regards to the Great Pyramid, the New Jerusalem, and the Temple Mount, 144, and the number 666. The longitude and the latitude coordinates, according to NASA, indicates that 666 is the addition of both the Temple Mount and the Giza Pyramid. The Temple Mount is located north 31 degrees 46 minutes and east at 35 degrees and 14 minutes for a total of 66 degrees 60 minutes, or 31.46 plus 35.14 are equal to 66.60, or 666. Giza Pyramid's coordinates are north 29 degrees and 58 minutes, east 31 degrees and 8 minutes, for a total of 60 degrees 66 minutes, or 29.58 plus 31.08 are equal to 60.66, or, if you would, 666. God's ultimate design for man is manifested in the coordinates of the Great Pyramid and in the Temple Mount. Notice that between the Giza Pyramid and the exact location of the Temple Mount, there are, according to NASA, 273 miles separating between the Temple Mount and the Great Pyramid, which manifests the 144 of the New Jerusalem, in that if we take the 273 miles and convert them into feet at 5,280 feet per mile, it will equal 1,441,440 feet. That is 144,144. And if we look at the New Jerusalem, we do see 2 sets of 144. In Revelation 7, the 144,000 of the 12 tribes of Israel. And again in Revelation 14, the 144,000 of the church on Mount Zion. And eventually we see the wall at 144 cubits. 666 is the number of a man destined to redemption. These coordinates are divine in their ramifications and demonstrate measurements beyond random geometric distribution. The Temple Mount and the Great Pyramid are interrelated as a result of 666, and the New Jerusalem connects their distances. An acre makes a 360-degree circle and 360-day prophetic year, and stones used in the Great Pyramid and Israel's army. 1 acre is equal to 43,560 square feet, or 208.71 feet on a side for the pyramid's base. The length is equal to the width, and the square root of 13.097144 acres is the number of acres of the base of the Great Pyramid times 208.71 feet, the side of an acre in feet, is equal to 755.321 feet, or 755.321 feet times 12 inches is equal to 9,063.85 inches. Now, 9,063.85 inches divided by the sacred cubit measurement of 25.20 inches is equal to 360, or 360 prophetic year, or the degrees in a circle. The stones used to build the Great Pyramid, that is, the number reached by the Pascal computer program, turned out to be 603,728 blocks that were used. The solid core takes up the space of approximately 13,016 stones. So the actual number of stones used to build the Great Pyramid was not somewhere near 2,300,000, but is 603,728 minus 13,016 would equal 590,712. This figure of 2,300,000 minus 590,712 is equal to 1,709,288 blocks less than the often published 2.3 million value. Please see worldmysteries.com. Interestingly enough, the Pascal computer program, which indicates 603,728 blocks, is much closer to the 603,550 mentioned in the book of Numbers, chapter 2, verse 46 and 346 of the armies of Israel. Added with the 273 will give us 603,823. That's within 100 of the number of blocks that are within the Great Pyramid of Giza of 603,728. This is our last slide in the presentation, and this is Israel's placement around the Ark of the Covenant and the Great Pyramid. As we have indicated, that the total number of the tribes of Israel and its armies that were numbered in the book of Numbers, chapter 2, verse 32, comes to 603,550, along with the 273 of the firstborn of Israel over and above the 22,000 Levites. The 22,000 Levites are not numbered among the 603,550, but the 273 are. All who were numbered according to their armies of the forces were 603,550. But the Levites were not numbered. Again, this is found in Numbers chapter 2, verse 46, and Numbers chapter 3, verse 46, for the 273 as well. The 603,728 stones used in the Great Pyramid, along with the 603,550 of the armies of Israel, is a difference of 178. Those redeemed with the firstborn over 22,000 of the Levites was 273. making the number 603,823, a difference of 95, inconsequential. Rounding up to the highest number of 604,000 for both would make the figures exact. Therefore, the armies of Israel and the stones of the Great Pyramid, how close is that? That is not an accident. Again, this is Doug Krieger, your host of the Tribulation Network, on this special series of 26 videos and their prophetical significance. We're now going into the last video, number 26. Thank you again for listening and viewing. I'm sure this has provoked a great deal of interest in your mind and your thinking about the designs of the Creator with His creation. Ye also, as living stones, are being built up a spiritual house, according to the Apostle Peter. The stones used to build the Great Pyramid of Giza. The number reached by the Pascal computer program indicates it took 603,723 blocks to build the Great Pyramid. The solid core takes up the space of 13,016 stones. So the actual number of stones used to build the Great Pyramid is approximately 603,728. This figure of 603,728 is far less than the traditional count of some 2,300,000 blocks. Please see the worldmysteries.com. The 603,550, the original number of Israelite armies, plus the 273 under special redemption, redeemed from the overage of the 22,273, give us a total of 603,823 of Israel's numbers. This is found in the book of Numbers, chapter 2, verse 46, and in chapter 3, verse 46. This is truly astounding. The blocks of the Great Pyramid at Giza and the armies of Israel are nearly identical in number when the 273 is added into the count of the armies of Israel gathered around her tabernacle in the wilderness. Less than 100 separates the number. Archaeology ponders the design of the Great Pyramid. The interior of the Great Pyramid of Giza bore no jewels, and its elaborate interior bore no inscriptions. Yet its measurements and interiors are a treasure trove of divine calculations and predictive elaborations concerning things to come, unto the times of the final apocalypse and the end of the age. No wonder, then, that archaeology ponders its mysteries, mysteries which cannot be fathomed without understanding the purposes of God, and especially those for the end of days. Archaeologists still ponder who built the Great Pyramid and when was it built. All abide in mystery. However, the mathematics that are so ubiquitous in its design are not. Contrary to popular belief, there are no inscriptions or hieroglyphs inside the pyramid. The only clues we have are measurements, ratios, and proportion. Some believe that the pyramid is a geometric representation of the earth. The length of the bases, the height, and the slope of the sides correspond to the circumference of the earth, its diameter, and its surface area. This data is essential to travel, astronomy, and cartography, among other things. The imaginary numbers pi and phi, though often attributed to Greek astronomers, are also prevalent in the much older Great Pyramid. Was this by chance, by accident, by the square root calculations and so forth? Or did the builders of the Great Pyramid of Giza know of these particular measurements? Two groups of 144,000, Israel and the church, the heavens and the earth, declare the purpose of God. The repetitious nature of the base of the Great Pyramid confirming the divine intent in producing two sets of 144,000 and two sets of 12 to equal 24, or multiplied to equal 144. The Apocalypse amplified in the Revelation in views the 24 elders and the 24 courses of the priesthood in the Old Testament. The 12 patriarchs of Israel and the 12 apostles of the Lamb. These are the two witnesses. They are Israel and the church as the divine witness to the universe of his quest for eternal relationship with his creation. 1:4. In Revelation chapter 7, verses 4 through 8, we read of Israel, 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel were sealed on the earth. And then again we read in Revelation chapter 14, verses 1 through 5, the church, behold, a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written on their foreheads, redeemed from among men, being firstfruits to God and to the Lamb in the heavens. And I will give power to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. Revelation 11:3. Thus the New Jerusalem's two sets of 144,000. Revelation 7, the 144,000 of Israel, and Revelation 14, the 144,000, or the church, and their common wall of the New Jerusalem. Revelation 21, verse 7. Of 12 times 12 equals 144 cubits. Therefore, the measurements of the Great Pyramid, the city known as the Lord is there of Ezekiel, and the holy city, New Jerusalem, are all so intertwined, intermingled in their measurements that only the divine geometer could have designed them. The two witnesses of the Revelation are cosmic in their expression, Israel and the church, the two sets of 144,000, the two olive trees, Israel, and the two lampstands, the church, Revelation 11, verse 4. The top stone of the Great Pyramid. The apex of the Great Pyramid, that is the GP, is called its capstone. It is missing, and most believe it was always missing, and purposefully so. The missing capstone, or topstone of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the stone which the builders cast away, disallowed, as worthless, this very capstone has become the head of the corner. 1 Peter 2:27 from the Darby translation. This topstone area of the Great Pyramid is approximately 30 feet by 30 feet at its base. Normally, it is considered the most important part of any pyramid made of peculiar stone or even gold, and highly decorative. Enoch knew, "Who are you, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel you shall become a plain, and he shall bring forth the capstone with shouts of grace, grace to it." Zechariah chapter 3 and verse 7. Here's an example of one of the drawings of the Great Pyramid of Giza, where you can clearly see the King's Chamber and the Queen's Chamber. I believe this was done in 1924, and as you can see, it is indeed the most measured artifact in antiquity, without any question whatsoever, with many, many different interpretations. Upon studying the Pyramidographia, or a description of the pyramids in Egypt by John Greaves, who is a professor of astronomy at the University of Oxford, circa 1646, Isaac Newton himself, 1643-1727, postulated that the builders of the Great Pyramid used a sacred cubit measuring 24.9 to 25.02 inches or 25.20 inches instead of a profane royal cubit measuring 20.6 to 20.65 inches. More than a century later, English publisher and pyramidologist John Taylor, 1781-1864, used Newton's conclusions concerning the sacred cubit to define a unit of measure called the pyramid inch. The pyramid inch is about a 1/1000th greater than a modern British inch. Taylor's book, The Battle of the Standards, the Great Pyramid Metrology and British Identity, 1864, was a campaign against the adoption of the metric system in England that was coming in from France, and relied on results from his book, The Great Pyramid, 1859, to show a divine origin for British units of measure. Professor Piazzi Smythe and John Taylor. This is number 1 in a special series on the early explorers and the individuals who measured the Great Pyramid of Giza. In Edinburgh, Professor Piazzi Smythe is credited with the fatherhood of the idea that the Great Pyramid at Giza contains a standard of measure. Having measured it, was Smythe's conclusion after the measuring that the sacred cubit used by the builders of the Great Pyramid was the same length, 25.20 of British inches, as the one used by Moses to construct the tabernacle and by Noah when he built his ark. And because the 25th part of this cubit was within a thousandth part of being the same as a British inch, that is 25.02, Smythe also concluded that the British had inherited this sacred inch down through the ages. Smythe, upon measuring the coffin or the coffer in the king's chamber, concluded that it was a standard of linear and cubic measurement. Smythe also confirmed the value of pi being built into the pyramid's dimensions. Smythe summed up his work as the linear measurement of the base of this colossal monument, viewed in the light of the philosophical connection between time and space, has yielded a standard measure of length which is more admirably and learnedly earth commensurable than anything which has ever yet entered into the mind of man to conceive. Again, this is taken directly from Dr. Charles Piazzi Smythe, who lived between 1819 and 1900. He was an astronomer royal for Scotland. Smythe's statement that the measurements of the Great Pyramid based on the sacred cubit was an ordinance from heaven, a gift from God. John Taylor and Piazzi Smythe. Smythe corresponded with pyramid theorist John Taylor and was heavily influenced by him. Taylor theorized in his 1859 book, The Great Pyramid, Why Was It Built and Who Built It?, that the Great Pyramid was planned and the building was supervised by the biblical figure Noah. Refused, he did, a grant by the Royal Society. Smythe went on an expedition to Egypt in order to accurately measure every surface dimension and aspect of the Great Pyramid. He brought along equipment to measure the dimensions of the stones, the precise angle of sections such as the descending passage, and a specially designed camera to photograph both the interior and exterior of the pyramid. He also used other instruments to make astronomical calculations and determine the pyramid's accurate latitude and longitude. This diagram from Smythe's Our Inheritance in the Great Pyramid of 1877 shows some of his measurements and chronological determinations made from them. Smythe subsequently published his book, Our Inheritance in the Great Pyramid, in 1864, which he expanded over the years, and is also titled The Great Pyramid, Its Secrets and Mysteries Revealed. Smythe claimed that the measurements he obtained from the Great Pyramid of Giza indicated a unit of length, the pyramid inch, which was equivalent to 1.001 of the British inch that could have been the standard of measurement by the pyramid's architects. From this he extrapolated a number of other measurements, including the pyramid pint, the sacred cubit, and the pyramid scale of temperature. This is all taken from Wikipedia. The antechamber of the king. Piazzi Smythe, circa 1880, Our Inheritance in the Great Pyramid, believed that the equal measures of 103.032 pyramid inches for the height of the east wainscot of the king's antechamber and the granite portion of the floor were intended to draw attention to the area of a square with sides of 103.032 inches. That is 103.032 inches times 103.032 inches would equal to 10,615.18 square inches. Smythe measured the Egyptian inch as 1.001 times longer than the modern inch or our inch based upon the sacred cubit of 25.20 inches. Now a circle with a diameter of 116.26 inches, the length of the antechamber, has an area of 10615, that is 10,615.18 inches, or 116.26 inches times 116.26 inches will give you 10,615.18 square inches, and a circumference of 365.24 inches, or circumference is equal to 3.142, that is pi, times 116.26 inches. That will equal 365.24, or days in a solar year. Smythe believed these calculations demonstrated that the pyramid was built in inches and that the builders were aware of the precise length of the solar year. It is most interesting, however, that the sacred cubit in the New Jerusalem and the Great Pyramid of Giza, when using the 25.20 inch configuration of the sacred cubit, has some remarkable correlations with the Great Pyramid of Giza. 144, the number of the New Jerusalem, times 25.20 inches is equal to 3,628.8 inches divided by 12 will equal 302.4 feet, a fractal of the 3,024-foot perimeter of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and conversely, 3,024 feet times 12 inches is equal to 36,288 inches divided by the sacred cubit of 25.20 inches is equal to 1440, the number of the New Jerusalem, 144. The King's Chamber Measurements. The King's Chamber measurements, according to Dr. Petrie Flinders, please see the dimensions and mathematics of the Great Pyramid on the World Wide Web. Also, his exact measurements of the Great Pyramid were first made by Dr. Petrie and published in 1883 by the Royal Society in his book entitled The Pyramids and Temples of Giza. Petrie discovered that the King's Chamber measurements were its length doubled from 34.38 linear feet to equal 68.76 feet on both sides of the floor. Its width was 17.9 feet, doubled to 34.38 feet, that is both sides of the floor, or 4 sides, for a total of 103.14 feet, multiplied by 12 inches, equals to 1,237 25.68 inches divided by the sacred cubit measurement of 25.20 inches equals 49. 49 is equal to 7 times 7, the universal lampstand of Zechariah chapter 4, having 7 conduits to the 7 separate lamps on this universal menorah, or 7 times 7 is equal to 49. This vision was seen by Zechariah with the reply that it is not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 6. And then again in Daniel chapter 9, verse 25. There shall be 7 weeks. The street and wall shall be built. 7 weeks is equal to 7 times 7, or 49 years, from Artaxerxes Legomanus, king of Persia's decree for the building of the wall in 445 BC unto 396 BC. All of this is recorded in Nehemiah chapters 2 through 10. And the 49 years unto the 50th year of Jubilee are recorded in Leviticus chapter 25 verses 8 through 17. Now again, the length of the king's chamber is 34.38 linear feet. That's one side of the floor measurement. Its width is 17.19 linear feet, another one side of the floor measurement. The height of the king's chamber in its what we call simple general height measurement is 19.20 feet. When all 3 dimensions are added together, they total 70.77 feet, or the fractal of 777, representing full completion. 70.77 times 12 inches is equal to 849.24 linear inches, divided by the sacred cubit measurement of 25.20 inches is equal to 337, or 33 and 7. 33 representing Messiah and 7 representing completion. This is the complete work of Messiah. The Queen's Chamber measurements. Petrie Flinders measured the Queen's Chamber as follows. Its length was 18.90 feet by 12 inches is equal to 226.80 inches. Its width was 17.19 feet. Of course, times 12 inches will equal 206.28 inches. Its height was 15.30 feet. Times 12 inches would equal 183.60 inches. Its total inches were 616.68 inches, divided by the sacred cubit measurement of 25.20 inches, will equal 24. The Queen is the bride of the King. She is constituted as the bride in the New Jerusalem. The 2 proper nouns describing her, as found in the book of Revelation, are the 12 gates having the names of the 12 tribes of Israel, and the 12 foundations having the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb, Israel, and the church. Again, 12 plus 12, or the woman, 24. Israel and the church, God's divine masterpiece. Also, her measurements in sacred cubits are 9.000 cubits, that is, 226.8 inches its length, times 8.1857 cubits, that is, 206.28 inches its width, by 7.2857 cubits, that is, 183.60 inches its height, or using the rounded off measurements, the breadth, the length, and the height, we discover 9 cubits times 8 cubits times 7 cubits equals 504, or 5040, Plato's prime number, divided by 2 is equal to 2520, or 5040 is the perimeter of Solomon's temple. These measurements place the queen's chamber resoundingly into the purposes of God, the reflection of his divine and singular intent. Here we have an astounding graphic by Pat M. Smith back in 1992 of the throne room of God. Here we have the 24 elders seated about the throne of God and the Lamb, with the 4 living creatures, the face of a lion, a calf, a man, and an eagle. First the thrones and then the living creatures are described. We affirm these 24 to be the 12 patriarchs of Israel and the 12 apostles of the Lamb, the church. The 12 gates bearing the names of the 12 tribes of Israel, and the 12 foundations bearing the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. The 24 elders, Israel and the church, God's ultimate intention and witness to the universe of his perfect work with humanity, seen throughout Scripture. Now, getting back to Mr. Smythe, Smythe claimed and presumably believed that the pyramid inch was a God-given measure handed down through the centuries, from the time of Shem, Noah's son, and that the architects of the pyramid could only have been directed by the hand of God. To support this, Smythe said that in measuring the pyramid, he found the number of inches in the perimeter of the base equaled 1,000 times the number of days in a year, and found a numeric relationship between the height of the pyramid in inches to the distance from Earth to the Sun, measured in statute miles. He also advanced the theory that the Great Pyramid was a repository of prophecies which could be revealed by detailed measurements of the structure. Working upon theories by Taylor, he conjectured that the Hyksos were the Hebrew people, and that they built the Great Pyramid under the leadership of Melchizedek. Because the pyramid inch was a divine unit of measurement, Smythe, a committed proponent of British Israelism, used his conclusions as an argument against the introduction of the metric system in Britain. For much of his life, he was a vocal opponent of the metric system, which he considered a product of the minds of atheistic French radicals, a position advocated in many of his works. Smythe, despite his bad reputation in Egyptological circles today, performed much valuable work at Giza. He made the most accurate measurements of the Great Pyramid that any explorer had made up to that time, and he photographed the interior passages using a magnesium light for the first time. Smythe's work resulted in many drawings and calculations, which were soon incorporated into his books, Our Inheritance in the Great Pyramid, the 3-volume Life and Work at the Great Pyramid, 1867, and On the Antiquity of Intellectual Man, 1868. For his works, he was awarded a gold medal by the Royal Society of Edinburgh. But in 1874, the Royal Society rejected his paper on the design of Khufu's pyramid as they had Taylor's. The rejection of his ideas helped contribute to his resignation from his post as Royal Astronomer in 1888. Although Smythe did not consider these dimensions in Egyptian cubits of 20.62 plus or minus 0.005 inches, however, the height of the wainscot above the length of the granite portion of the floor gives a square area of 25 cubits, or 103.032 divided by 20.62 is equal to 4.997 Egyptian cubits times 4.997, which would approximate 25 Egyptian cubits, square cubits. A circle with an area of 25 cubits has a diameter of 5.64 cubits, or 116.3 inches, which is equal to the length of the king's antechamber. Smythe's 365.24 solar day circumference. Enoch's circle, for a preponderance of evidence points to his building of the Great Pyramid. Enoch's circle being 365.242 inches in circumference. In point of fact, the Bible's Enoch, who was not, in that he was translated to the heavens at age 365 years, 88 days, and 9 hours, or 365.242 years, Book of Enoch. We affirm, therefore, that he most probably is the architect and builder of the Great Pyramid. Now we're going to be covering some other astounding facts of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The King's Chamber is 10.46 meters east to west by 5.23 meters north to south by 5.81 meters high, a series of measurements that precisely expresses the mathematical proportions known as the golden mean, or phi. The golden mean, or ratio, is an irrational mathematical constant, approximately 1.6180339,887. Mathematicians have studied the golden ratio because of its unique and interesting properties. The golden ratio is also used in the analysis of financial markets, in strategies such as Fibonacci retracement. Other astounding facts of the Great Pyramid. The designers of the Great Pyramid had access to a supremely successful paradigm, subsequently lost to later generations. This can be seen by the decline in perfection of the pyramids since the Great Pyramid was built. The pyramid is a database of that lost paradigm. It is a model of the galaxy, the solar system, the Earth, and ultimately the human being. The pyramid is the message. It is the model. It is the demonstration of the architect's ability to meld science, art, and geometry into a meaningful form. As a wonder of conceptual art, the Great Pyramid organizes grand themes and tremendous ideas. It is the solution to a problem. Some other astounding facts of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramid uses a system of measurements that are based on pi, or phi, the golden ratio, and the Pythagorean triangle. This was thousands of years before the so-called father of geometry discovered the formula. Isaac Newton discovered that when you use pi as a unit, that many of the measurements of the pyramid are whole numbers instead of the long decimals we get with our system today. Originally, the English inch was the same as the pyramid inch of 25.02 plus, but was changed during the time of Queen Elizabeth I to express the precise measurement of the sacred cubit, that is, 25.20 inches equals the sacred cubit. The slope of the sides of the pyramid is of such an angle that they meet at the apex at the predetermined height of 232.52 pyramid cubits. If twice the length of a side at the base be divided by the height of the pyramid, we would arrive at the figures 3.14159, which, when multiplied by the diameter of a circle, that is, the pi, would give us its circumference. The perimeter of the base of the pyramid, 365.242 times 4, is equal to 14609.68, is exactly equal to the circumference of a circle whose diameter is twice the height of the pyramid. 232.52 times 2 times 3.1416 are equal to 14609.68. The average land height of the Earth above sea level is approximately 5,449 inches, or 454 feet, plus the missing capstone would equal 480.5 feet, or 481 feet. This is also not only the height of the pyramid, but in point of fact, the average land height mass throughout the Earth, excluding its oceans. The light equation is very interesting. The height of the Great Pyramid minus the height of the capstone represents 1/1,000,000th of the time it takes light to travel the mean radius of the Earth's orbit around the Sun. 1 astronomical unit, using 1 pyramid inch, is equal to 24 hours, mean solar day. Now we have some interesting figures over here that you can look at. 5813.2355653 minus 103 plus divided by 10 to the 6th power is equal to 0.0057101,986 plus days is equal to 493 plus seconds is equal to 8 minutes, 13.36 seconds. The speed of light is accurately depicted within the unique slope angle of the Great Pyramid, which is 51 degrees and 51 minutes, which is equal to 186,600 arc seconds, which equals our measurement of the maximum speed of light in miles per second. This concludes other astounding facts of the Great Pyramid of Giza number 5, and this also concludes video number 27 of our special series. We're now moving on to video number 28. Again, I am your host, Doug Krieger of the Tribulation Network. Thank you for viewing and for listening, and now we're going on to video number 28.